We had a client that we worked with, and she was really struggling with profitability. She kept raising tuition. She actually did 3 tuition increases within a 15-month cycle, and she still could not catch up. So I helped her work with our 6 money leaks in schools, and she only used 3 of the 6 money leaks and cut her expenses by 50%. 50. She did not fire anyone. She did not slash any of her programs, and she did not work more hours. Again, the 6 money leaks are not hacks or spreadsheets. These are patterns. They are small decisions that feel so normal that your school does, but they quietly drain your school's profit. So if you've ever wondered why you're working so hard, but still not seeing the return, this is your first step to clarity. Click the link in the show notes and find out what it's actually costing you. Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, a place for insightful conversations about building sustainable schools of excellence. Join me each week as we explore the importance of leading with your values, creating impact, and leaving a lasting legacy. My goal on the show is to provide you with clarity, elevate your mindset, and equip you with practical strategies and inspiration. I'm Chanie, a proud mother of 4, a former New Yorker, now savoring sunny Florida vibes. With a professional journey spanning 18 years across all levels of school leadership, I bring nuanced insight that delve into the intricate details of running a center, as well as the broader visionary aspects of leadership. Thank you for joining me for this conversation. Let's build a legacy of excellence together. Welcome back to the Schools of Excellence podcast. Today, I am so excited to be having a conversation with a member of our Director's Inner Circle, and I'll let her introduce herself. One of the things the first memory that kind of pops into my mind when I see Mel is my initial conversation with you actually was in my mom's preschool gym, because I brought all the kids from New York because it was the lockdowns in August of 2020, and we needed to get the kids out of the house. But I know where to go because all the playgrounds in New York were locked. And so we drove to my mom in Jersey, and she let us go into the preschool gym because her school was closed. And so the kids were playing there, and I was in a corner on this little kiddie chair on the side talking to you on the phone. So those are like my first memories of you. So welcome to the podcast.
Nice to be here. And it's funny that you say that because I remember very specifically, I was going to HEB at that time.
Wow.
And I got your call and I was like, she's actually calling me back. I was like, how amazing is this? Yeah.
So tell us your name. Yeah. Tell us your name, where you're from, and then we'll dive in.
Okay. My name is Melinda Elridge, go by Mel. I'm a director at an on-site lab school in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I've been here for 8 years, and I absolutely love what I do every day.
I love
Even
it.
on the hard days.
I love it. So Mel joined the Schools of Excellence membership in August of 2020. And for those of you that take yourself in a little time machine of what the world looked like during that time. So what was going on in your center at the time when you had reached out for support?
Oh gosh, at that time, it was like right after COVID. So it was crazy chaos. It was crazy chaos trying to figure out what the new normal was going to look like. And it was nothing that we had ever seen before. So really trying to figure out how I was going to stay ahead of the game, keep leveling up. And of course, I didn't have that terminology at the time, but I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And it was a hard place to be. And staff were scared, families were scared. Everybody was just, so I needed to figure out how I was going to keep moving forward in that time of uncertainty.
Yeah. So when you joined the Schools of Excellence, the first thing that we work on when members join is the foundations. And the foundations are the 3 pillars to sustain excellence, which are mindset, time, and culture. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your experience walking through foundations. And obviously you didn't only walk through foundations in August of 2020, but you've had multiple iterations because One of the things I tell members all the time, you will always go back to foundations every time there is a new transition or crisis or issue, because the foundations need to be refortified during moments of transition. So you've been through foundations many times. Walk us through the experience of how building those core foundations have changed the trajectory of your life and your centers.
Gosh, going back from when we started to where we are now, every time I have to deal with those hard situations with mind, time set, and I mean, and with time,
Culture.
mindset, and culture, it's amazing the growth, and where I've come from there to here, because everything gets easier. Mindset, it wasn't such a hard shift for myself because it was bringing on the staff, but it gave me the words and the tools that I needed to be able to share that with the staff. And we are in such a good place. Going back to culture, it's helped us really solidify our core values. We've done the work in figuring out what we stand for and why, our why behind what we do. So now we have our core values of nurtured learning, of relationships, and leveling up our excellence. Those are our three core values. And without the program, we would not have such a vision of what we run our program on. And time is just crazy. The time blocks, the one-to-ones, the closed door, just so many things that have the calendar, have just become so much part of what I do and how I do it, that it's amazing.
Yeah. So let's break down all of those because you shared like 5 different systems that
Yeah.
you work with, which is fantastic, right? And that's the goal of really joining a membership and joining a coaching program is that there is transformation. You're
Oh,
learning systems, you're implementing, and there is a transformation. So walk us through this calendar concept, right? Because you were working nonstop, constantly getting interrupted, being pulled into 1,000 directions. Walk us through a little bit about that experience and what you've implemented from a boundaries and calendar perspective that have allowed you to have a completely different quality of life and experience.
so the calendar really keeps me focused, and I have my little my post-it, another tool. I've broken down. I've time blocked, like Mondays. Those are for program. I focus on programming things that I need for the programming, enrollment, all those files and things like that. Part of the program. Tuesdays is focused on teachers, whether it's one-to-ones, whether it's observations, whether it's feedback, things like that. Wednesday is self-care. That's when I do my PD. That's when I listen to podcasts. That's when I go and do an assisted stretch somewhere or something like that. Thursdays is again focused on teachers because there's so much
Yeah.
that is encompassed in that. And then Fridays is focus. I start my calendar for the week coming in. So it's just amazing. And every morning I start with opening my calendar.
Yeah.
And it's right there in front of me, and there are times, like you said, where I veer off and then it's like, oh gosh, I feel
Yeah.
the craziness coming in. Let me get my calendar back scheduled, and things like that. And it's just been life changing.
So the beauty of what you're sharing, Mel, is really just about understanding what are the anchors in my life that I know, because there's no such a thing as you always stick to certain things. Like we all have things that we hold on to and then life will happen and then we veer off of it or we need to get re-anchored. The beautiful part is what you need to strap back into to get yourself back up again. So many times when people first get on the call with me or I'm talking to leaders, they don't even know where to start. They don't even know what they have to hold on to even get themselves back up again. So when you fall now, there's a totally different experience of when things are challenging. And I'd love for you to walk us through that because hard times will always exist. Because that's just the world that we live in. The difference is how we walk through those challenges now.
Yes. Very true. Actually, this is like very time, I don't know what word to use. It's very poignant to what I've just experienced because
Sure.
I just went through a time where I was like, I felt untethered. I felt kind of out there. I felt kind of like I was grasping, and even though I had the anchors in place, with so much going on in the world, it just really just got to me. So I said, okay, I'm going to step back. I'm going to reach back out to, Chanie and the group, and I started getting back involved and going back to those anchors that really keep me tethered to what makes sense, what helps get the things going, and what helps with conversations. I pulled out my difficult conversations book, because I was like, how am I going to deal with this? So it just really helped get me out of that space of just yuckiness, you know.
Yeah,
So
and you have so
and
many
came back out.
resources to pull from, which I love. And for those of you that don't know, Mel mentioned the difficult conversation script, which we'll link inside here into the show notes. It's something that you guys can purchase as well. Um, Having resources to lean on when we feel
Hmm.
untethered, when we feel like our brains are a mush and we're in fog and we're feeling like in the depths of our soul, we're like, oh, everything just feels so heavy.
Hmm.
Knowing that there's a resource and someone to reach out to makes the hard time a little bit more tolerable as we walk through it. It doesn't take away the hard, it helps us walk through it in a very different way. Um, I'd love for you to highlight, you and I have had so many conversations about the difference between anchors and enhancers, and really understanding like what are the things that anchor me and keep me anchored. And, faith is one of them for you. And I'd love for you to walk us
Hmm.
through some of those things. And then what are the enhancers, like the things where it's like, it's really great when I do this and it enhances my quality of life, but it's not necessarily an anchor where it's like, if I don't do this, I immediately untether myself. So tell us a little bit about some of your anchors.
My anchors are doing my daily devotionals in the mornings. I have a few books that I keep on my desk, and I actually journal in the morning before when I open my calendar, and then I open my journals
Yeah.
and my devotional books,
Yep.
because I that just really sets the pace for my mind and my heart and how I approach anything that comes through the door, whether it's good things, whether it's emotional things, whether it's kids that are just not ready to come to school. The way I show up makes a difference. So that's one of my biggest anchors. And when I put that by the wayside because I feel like things are just stacking on, I am so aware now
Mm.
of, ooh, I need to pull that back out, and I've gone through several ebbs and flows of that. And it's amazing how the anchor can just keep you going. The other anchor is you having morning conversations with my sisters. It
Mm.
just kind of feels off when I don't have those. And they could be texts, they could be calls, but when
Yeah.
I don't have that, it's like something's missing, and then
Wow.
the enhancements are kind of like, I'm going to take half a day off early, that's an extra bonus, or I'm going to go and have lunch instead of stay here and have lunch, so those are kind of the extras that I
Yeah.
enjoy, that I treat myself with.
So again, when you first joined in August of 2020, those were such distant fairy tale dreams to be able to take a half a day off or that. What, besides for your calendar, which is obviously the biggest one, what are some other changes in culture and your own mindset that you've really had to work through to be able to even create the space to do something like this?
I think it really goes back to solidifying our core values, our
Mm.
why, and what makes us separate from other centers,
Yeah.
and really getting everybody on board with those. We worked on it as a team. We
Mm.
processed them. We talked about what's important to us, what we want people to, when someone talks about us, what do we want those words to look like? And after, you come in as a leader and you feel like, oh, I have to be there from opening to close. I was working 12-hour shifts every day all the time. And until we had those in place, and everybody was on board, and I felt comfortable in my own head because they
Mm.
could have done the work at all times, but really trusting, building that trust, that if I walked away and did something for myself,
Mm.
everything was going to be fine, and it was going to be run according to our core values, not come back and say, oh my God, what just happened? I just left, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing when you have that trust and that culture of accountability, how you can just feel comfortable taking half a day off.
Yeah. I'd love for you to speak to the self trust also, because it's not just about trusting the team that's in place. It's also about us learning to trust ourselves and give ourselves the gift of this. Because, like we can have an amazing team in place, but if we don't believe that we're deserving of
Mhm.
taking this time, we'll never take it. So, how have you cultivated a mindset where you finally believe that you are deserving of honoring yourself and taking care of yourself?
That one was a bit harder for me. It took some self love from my program coordinator, Marcy. She was like, Mel, I've got this. I've got this. Go. So it took a little bit of tough love, and just reminding from someone else, and not listening to my own false false narrative in my
Yeah.
head of, I
Yeah.
have to be there.
Mm,
because I'm the leader, I'm the one that,
hmm.
and so it really took me a lot of time. And now the joke is, oh, you're taking more time off, so, but it's kind of a banter back and forth that,
Good.
you know, it's thank you for trusting me
Mm,
to be able to run the program. And it's like, okay, I do deserve this. And it's amazing how you can just, look ahead and plan now, because we're all in that good space.
yeah.
We're all on the same page. We're all, driving the bus in the same direction.
Yeah. I love that. What most surprised you in some of the impacts on your personal life and your relationships from joining the program? Because I always say being part of Schools of Excellence, it's really a holistic approach to
Mhm.
leadership and growth. It's not just about your schools getting better, because when you become better as a leader, everything gets better. And so, what have been some of the biggest surprises for you?
I think one of the biggest takeaways or surprises is having those hard conversations. It that has been one of the biggest takeaways from this whole thing, both in my personal life, both with families, with staff, with even with leadership here at the college that I'm at. Having that voice to really stand up for what you believe and how you do things, and not be afraid to ask.
Mm,
What one of my words for the year, I don't know if you do words for the year.
yeah, go for
It was a couple of years ago. It was grace and grit. I have to have the grace for what everyone's going through, but also the grit to keep going forward, to do the hard stuff. And I
it.
think just
Yeah.
having those hard conversations and not being, I'm very emotional. So
Mm,
those conversations were always hard for me. So a lot of times I avoided it. But
hmm.
now I feel so empowered and able to get my thoughts and emotions and voice across without the emotional breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the reps or habits that you've built in place that have allowed you to get here, right? Because so many times people come in and they're like, I want to get better at difficult conversations. I'm like, well, it's not like turning on a light switch. It's not like, okay, here's the script. Now you're going to get better at it. You have to run the reps. And so, what have you done that has brought you to a place, basically a little over 4 years later?
I think my practice with that is whenever something difficult or hard is coming my way, it's coming. You can see it coming a mile away. So instead of reacting or responding in the emotional moment,
Sure.
my go to is let me process. I'll get back with you. Whether it's
Mm,
with my husband, whether it's with my
mm-hmm,
family, whether it's
mm-hmm,
work, let
mm-hmm,
me process and let me get back with you. And I go over it. Okay, is my resistance personal? Is it my
mm-hmm,
own personal bias and thoughts
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
things? Or what's going to be the effect if I go one way or the other? So I really
mm-hmm.
take the time to reflect and process and hear what they're saying and what they're asking for. Um, and then I come back and say, okay, and if I need more information, one of the things that I've learned is tell me more. I need
Yes.
more information.
Yes.
Asking the right questions, that has been pivotal to me. Tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean when you say that? What does that look like? So those are all things that have come out of this program, and
Yeah.
it's to see it and to see the how conversations can be successful and relationships can be built based off of that is amazing.
When you look at the impact of culture, because again, like you, no one's immune to, turnover, staff leaving, call outs. I mean, you've experienced all of those things. How have you seen a shift in the cultural um, environment of your staff since being a part of this program, implementing things, all of that?
I think the biggest shift has been in, I think one of the most critical things that can bring an organization down is that idle talk.
The
The
gossip.
the gossip, the talking, and I always, whenever something like that comes my way, I always start with, I understand you need someone to talk to. I
Mm,
understand there's going to be discussion, whatever, because I have my people that I go to as well. Whenever there's you have to have somebody to bounce things off of, or just
Sure,
to vent.
sure, sure.
But I always bring us back to the core values. How is this going to help us keep these core values in alignment? And I just recently I've been coaching a staff who's had a really hard time stepping into a lead position, and so we're coaching, and it's really hard. Going back to one of the other things that I've learned, the victim, those victim mentality, the well, I
The
can't
four
think.
shields, the four
Yes, the
shields of the
force
difficult
field.
conversation. Yeah,
And
yeah.
yes, so those have really been pivotal in changing how we do things, and they're feeling heard and respected. And again, I the same thing that I do. I asked them. I said, "We've talked about a lot. Go home and process. I know you're going to think of things that you should have said, wanted to say, have more questions about. We'll come back and we'll meet again, and we'll go through it again." And just having that respect, that mutual respect of we're all learning, we're all, growing together, has helped shift from I can't believe she's doing this to wow, she really
Mm.
gave me the time to hear. So that right there has really shifted how we approach things as a group, and that has made such a huge we're more cohesive, we're all on the same page, everybody wants to help. If we have someone call out, someone's more willing to come in because we've got that mutual respect and understanding of each other.
Oh, I love this so much. I always, I say this all the time, right? Gossip is a maladaptive social skill. And
Yeah.
so when people are gossiping, it's their way of trying to create connection, obviously in a very toxic kind of way,
Right.
but it's their way of trying to create connection. And so I love how you've, followed again how we teach it, which is like, how are we going to create social connection and relationships within the community, within the school? Because that's what people are looking for.
Right.
Gossip is your red flag of people want relationships and connection. Let's give them some healthy and powerful ways to create connection and relationships. So I love that you've been able to see the tide turn, when it
Yeah.
comes to that. Yeah. So when you look at some of your future goals, right? Because you've been in the program for a while, you've done a lot of the foundational stuff. When you look at your capacity and your ability to look at some bigger picture things, look at some other bigger and future initiatives, what does that look like for you now in this new season?
Well, we're kind of a beast of a different kind because of how we're located. So
Sure.
a lot of the big things kind of have to go through different processes
Sure.
to get done. But I was just having this conversation, big picture. Now that I've used this so many times, COVID is no longer an excuse for anything.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I said we have got to keep moving up and leveling up, and because although COVID did wreak havoc, and we
Yeah.
are still recovering from it, I really want to start growing our program in a different way.
Mm.
I want to talk to leadership about how we can better join forces with our early childhood program, and how we can get the word out into the community about all the wonderful things that we're doing,
Yeah.
even despite us being short staffed, and
Mm-hmm.
despite,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where my heart is leading, in helping us, build up that shine again, and that glow, and grow, and be able to help more families and students, here at the college and stuff like that. So that's kind of where my big dream is right now.
Growth and contribution are two of the six basic human needs. If you search that, there are six basic human needs. And it's very difficult for our brains to even enter a place of growth and contribution when we're in a state of constant survival. And
Mhm.
so I love that you have finally pulled yourself out of survival and out of the disordered phase. And you're truly entering this place of, okay, what does it mean to start to integrate community, relationships, family, growth, continuity, brand equity? Your brain gets to look at things in a whole different way. So I am so excited for this next chapter for you, because now you get to envision things and play around in a very different way.
And it's scary, but
Of
do
course,
it
because it's
scared. Do it
new.
scared. Yes.
Yeah, do it scared. Yeah. When you think of the impact of, being on the group coaching calls, when you hear other people speaking, or the community, the priorities reset, how have being in conversation with other leaders, how has that supported your growth?
I think that, you know, the main point that I always come across after getting off one of those calls is I am not alone.
Mm,
Because it's real easy to get caught up in the, oh my gosh, I'm the only one going through this and nobody else knows. And just having a community and a network of like-minded leaders that are
yeah,
looking to level up and looking to
yeah,
go forward, that are still struggling with the same things that we're struggling with. It's just like, okay, it's not me. I'm going the right way. And it's just, affirming to what we're doing and how we're doing it, and that we've got that community to be able to bounce questions off and get feedback, and
yeah,
to vent whenever we
yeah,
need to. Like, I
yeah,
can't believe I had to deal with that today,
yeah,
but
yeah.
and then move on.
Yeah, not stay there, right?
Yeah,
You don't buy real estate in that place.
yeah,
You hang
yeah,
out there for a little bit and then you
yep.
move on. So I love that. Mel, you've been in the program for, a long time, multiple years, and a lot of times people say things like, I can't afford it, it's not the right time, I don't have time to do it myself. Do I even deserve this? Am I even going to take action? Am I in the right season to even make this investment? You've obviously went through all of those questions in your head as well.
Mhm.
So what would you say to someone who's kind of, battling all the monkey chatter in their head if they should join?
It is absolutely worth the value of the return that you're getting, because so many things, once you go through the program, become second nature, that it just helps. Here we are a few years into the program, and it's like, wow, that was so much easier than it was 4 years ago. Wow, that went so much better. Wow, I'm so much more equipped to deal
Mm,
with these hard situations. And it's not just what I get filled with, it's what I'm able to share with the staff and with the leadership. And whenever we went through the process of bringing you on as a speaker here for the staff,
yeah.
at first I was like, oh my God, they're going to say, are you crazy? You're going to spend how much money? But when when I go up against and I'm standing for what we are worth, even though, okay, so we're a small center, we have a small staff, but we are worth it. And the value of a good training that we are going to be able to move forward with is so much worth the value, versus getting somebody who's going to come do pony shows and tricks, and give you a quick, you know, sheet of
Yeah,
something, of tips and tricks.
yeah,
This is skills. These are lifelong skills that we are able to share with our staff and with
mm,
each other, and that goes into the children and that goes into the families. And so I've been really honored to be able to be a part of that and to be able to grow from it.
yeah. There's there's so much conviction in how you present it, and there's so much self trust and self respect and dignity of yourself and what you're running. And so you come to the board to get approval with such a different place. You're not coming from a place of please, please, can I get this? Can I get this? It's really important to me. You're coming from a place of our school is worth it. We deserve
Mhm.
this. We need this. How how have you flipped that mindset in that way? Because I know there are people that are listening that are in a very similar situation as you, and they're like, well, I would love to join but the board would never let, or I would love to join but this person would have let, or this person let. And I always tell people it's not true. They don't let because you're not convicted enough to say
Right.
I deserve this, we need this. So walk us through that.
The way, first, I give all the information about the trainings that we're going to get and why it's so important. It's the buy-in that you have to. I hate to use the word sell, but that's kind of what
It
we're
is,
doing.
you do, you have
Yeah,
to
you
sell
have
it
to
to them,
sell it.
absolutely.
And I just really go to bat for the importance of learning these skills that are so important, again, not just for what we do here daily, but life skills.
Yeah.
And I always go back to, we can't meet our goals if we are not filling our own cups with the
Mm,
knowledge and the skills and um, the information that we're going to be getting from quality versus you know that whole saying, you pay what you get for, or you get what you
You
pay
get what you
for.
pay for. Yeah.
You get what you pay for, and we are worth it. And I always went back to, these are the outcomes that are going to come from it.
Mm.
We are going to be able to run a program that's got core values in place, that has a vision in place, that has the tools to be able to have those hard conversations and build community within our organization that trickles down. The whole ripple effect, the ripple effect of what we're doing here is outreaching. And I've even gone as far as saying, when we are looking at different possibilities for grant scholarships, those people want to give to programs that have strong values and are meeting their needs. So we've gotten grantees, scholarships. So it's just that whole ripple effect of greatness, so
Yeah.
how I sell it.
You've up leveled the whole quality of the center, and now all of a
Mhm.
sudden you're not only able to invest in this program, but now you're getting grants for other things. You're getting like the community and the places looking at your center from such a different perspective. And it's a risk, and it takes a lot of guts to go to bat in that kind of way. But the payoff obviously has been tremendous for you.
Absolutely.
I love that. Mel, any last words, or any last things that you want to share, with the audience that's listening here?
I just think, really stepping out of your comfort zone and taking that risk and asking, because you never know. The answer might be no, but the answer might be yes as well. And that yes is going to be life changing. Um, Again, sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, wow, especially like times where I'm looking at budget and I'm thinking, okay, do I have the ability to keep this in my budget? And I'm like, absolutely. I said, because even though there's so many things that are outside of my control, this is within my control, and it affects those things, how I approach those things that are outside of my control, and
Hmm.
those things get changed. So yeah, it's absolutely, you know, a win for anyone who gets into the program.
I just ask you to double tap on that piece here. Like this part is in your control, and it impacts the things in your life that are not in your control. Can you give us one or two examples of that? Because I think that's so well said of what it means to be part of a community of support and mentorship.
Absolutely. I think going back to, the struggle of what we pay and things, our staff are not within my immediate control.
Hmm.
So because of our excellence, and because we do such, I toot our own horn. We do great things, and we do great things all the time, every
Sure.
day, no matter
Sure.
how many children we have, no matter how many staff we have. So using what I've learned, I've gotten more confident. I've gotten more skilled at having those hard conversations. So we just went through the whole process of leveling up our pay scale to where now it's a leveled pay scale, because we have to be able to, just like we meet children where they're at, we have to meet our staff where they're at, where they're coming in at, and now the pay reflects that. So that was a big win for me. And again, this program gave me the confidence and the skills and the language to be able to have those conversations with leadership here at the college to be able to get that done.
I
So
got chills. I like
yeah.
it's incredible. Like it's incredible, and I say this all the time. When the leader levels up, she takes the entire center with her. You leveled up your communication, your skills, your confidence, your trust in yourself, your ability to negotiate, and as a result of doing all of those things, you were able to raise the pay scale for your staff. You were able to get grants for your community.
Yes.
Like these are things so many people are always asking, how do I do that? How am I going to raise the salaries of my staff? I'm not in control of that. How am I going to get grant money? Well, it happens in a lot of indirect ways. And
Hmm.
especially in a world of instant gratification where we're looking for what is the direct, most linear path to all of that. And I always say that's not how it works. I was telling someone recently, like, she's like, what kind of problems do you solve? I'm like, in our program, we solve things that money can't buy. I always say, if you have a problem that money can solve, you don't have a problem. And in our program, we solve challenges that money can't solve. You can't solve the challenge of self confidence through money. You can't become more confident just because you got more money in your bank account. Confidence is built slowly over time. It is built through reps. It is built through struggle. It is built through endurance. And I love this for you so much, so much.
It's been amazing.
I love it. Mel, thank you so much for joining us here. It was so great to connect with you, and I really appreciate that you joined us on the podcast.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do two things for me. One, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And two, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week. And I appreciate that you have joined us.
If your accountant has ever told you to cut back on professional development or slash your teacher appreciation budget or your staff development budget just so you could stay afloat, or has told you, hey, you probably can't go invest in that program, please listen. The problem is not that you're spending too much money on your people or yourself or your investment or your support system. It's that your school has invisible money leaks that are draining your profit, leaks that no spreadsheet will ever catch or accountant. So I created the 6 money leaks of schools that show you the 6 core areas that schools lose money every single month without realizing it. If you close even one of them, your profits will start to soar without sacrificing your team. Go get it now and stop blaming the things that are actually building your school.